How many of you ever felt like no matter how hard you work, there's never enough money left over? And how many of you, fathers especially, have had to say no to something joyful? A trip, a memory, an adventure. Not because you didn't want to, but because the money just didn't add up. Or worse, your rules around money didn't align. If that's you, I get it. But welcome. We're so glad that you're here. You've carved out the time. I have a special guest today, and you've given us your most valuable resource, your time, and we're going to honor that as always. But this isn't just a conversation around money. This is pivotal stuff. I believe that this is one of the foundational spokes of money and actually creating a path to financial freedom. It's about turning that pressure into a partnership. And by the end of the session, you're going to walk away with a simple rhythm for a weekly money meeting that over time, with pressure, it'll create clarity and connection. That tools to shift money from a stress to a strategy, and a framework for aligning your spending with your values. So your dollars reflect what matters most. And then that vision building approach that brings you and your spouse onto the same team, into alignment from here to here. And even if money has been a tough conversation in the past, you're going to have the confidence after today to take that next best step towards financial peace. And there's no progress without struggle. Like a quick personal story. Back in December 2022, I was transitioning. I was still really struggling, pretty new to infinite banking, only maybe 1,000 conversations at that point. And I had big dreams, and I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine, with a coach, and he noticed it. I was helping him get through his first Ironman, and he noticed my words, my feelings about money, and I was stopping myself all over the place. And so he suggested we start doing something different with our time, with our meetings. And this meeting turned into something that's allowed us to invest more in our health, to deepen our trust as partners, and to turn our money into something meaningful, not only for ourselves, but for the folks that we get to impact, that we're honored to help serve them. And it changed our marriage, changed our mindset. And today, I want to help each of you experience that same shift. So let's walk through together. Why are we here again? We're going to help you move from financial overwhelm to an ownership through consistent, connected money conversations. We'll walk you through how our 5-part weekly meeting rhythm, and we're going to show it to you step by step by step to create that emotional safety around money. And we'll give you examples of how this works in real life. And by the time you leave, you're going to leave here with a repeatable system that reduces stress, builds trust, and helps you design a life you love. One that reflects your values, your family values. Does that sound like something that you'd like to have in your tool belt, in your home? If it is, awesome. Let's dive into it. So, the common path. Now, I don't know how many of you are watch Family Feud still, but it's great fun. If you don't, you should watch it sometimes. It's entertaining. Connor found it entertaining. So we're going to do this Family Feud style. We're going to talk about what really happens when what most couples do with their money. And the people that don't plan, guess what? No one plans for financial pain. But we talk about it all the time. What's the one guaranteed thing in life? Change. And so the only way that we can avoid it or to embrace it, is to come up with a plan, to be uncommon, not the common path. So in the chat, as we go through this, I want each of you kind of putting your answers for what is the most common thing in a family, in a relationship, in a partnership that leads to financial pain. You guys can play along. What's the first thing? What's number one? Pat, you want to take a guess, or you read number one for us? What's number one?
It's overspending.
That's it. Debt and overspending.
Overspending.
Debt and overspending. Number one on the board. So if you got that, give yourself a pat. What's number two on the board, everyone? Anybody? TikTok.
Lost job,
Okay,
right?
I like that. Spending. We got spending disagreements, but lost job is a great answer. Let's see if it comes up on our board, Lee. Number three, financial infidelity. And this is more around to kind of define that. This is hiding stuff, not really talking about it, like going and buying stuff and trying to keep it on a card that you guys don't share or something. Secrets, exactly.
Yeah, secrets.
Secrets, perfect. Number four. Number four. We got some good guesses here. What's number four on our list? Family Feud?
Budget, secrets.
Secrets.
Lack of budget, yeah, which is overspending, right?
Here's a big one. These are in no order, no communication, no comfort to even bring up the uncomfortable elephant in the room, which is often money,
Right.
right? This is the first thing that leads to strife in most homes. And that passes down through generations too, by the way. And number five, misaligned goals. One person's trying to go here, one person's trying to go there. Are they going to make it to the same destination? No. And then what happens with that? You have the financial aftermath. You have the when you have debt and you're overspending, when you have the disagreements, spending disagreements about what's important for the family, like you haven't defined your values. You have the secrets, the infidelity of it, right? It's almost like cheating. You're not communicating. You're not comfortable even communicating. You constantly fight. You have stress. You have worry. This is the most common thing in the United States. I looked up some stats. The stats are all over the board for how often money is the number one
Right.
factor in divorce, but it was pretty high. It was over 30 some percent. And so this is the money's the landmine that no one wants to step on. No one wants to get honest. So we have to start being honest, having a shared vision. And without that, it's just tension in the silence. Everyone's suffering. No one wants to really say what's going on. And without that alignment, love feels unstable. You're moving in two different directions with your money, your
Mm-hmm.
life. And the result is that, you feel drained emotionally, physically, spiritually. Your dreams that have been delayed, like maybe you're putting your dreams for your kids or just getting them things that they don't really need or even want, and you start delaying some of the things and that you want in life, and that leads to resentment over time. And the aftermath of the common path is everyone loses. You have less income because you have your health breaking down because of the stress, because it leads to health problems. And the normal path to money always leads somewhere that's not good. You work, you trade time for money, you have stress, you have anger. You're still walking in it though, because it's common,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's the easy way. Any thoughts here for you?
Um, Basically, I see that everybody's putting what they think is the truth. I think that communication is one of the most important ones. As a spouse, I guess as a wife, I can say because I'm a wife, I was we were never aligned when we were talking about money. Jason was doing his things and I was doing my things, and we were never connected until we he realized that okay, for us to succeed in wealth, we need to be connected. So that's we start, force he actually started forcing those money meetings because I,
Mm.
as a spouse, was not agreeing with that. I was like, what is he talking about? What does he want to do? Which some men have shared stories personally, like, oh, I wish my wife. Sometimes it's the husband, but that one of either the wife or the husband has to take the courage to start doing. And it's not going to be easy, but one of them has to start the courage if you want to survive the marriage relationship, because part of succeeding the marriage is having the abundance of wealth to do what you want. So
Mm.
one of you two that are watching us is going to have to be the courageous one, and just don't give up, because Jason didn't give up. I was not easy the first probably 3 4 months. I was thinking, what is wrong with him?
Months?
Well, because
I'm
it's
just
every
teasing.
week, right?
I'm teasing. Yes, you'll see how often, and it wasn't, and it's as simple and as difficult as you'll let it be. Because we're going to give you the framework today. We're going to outline step by step what it looks like. And if you feel this pain, if you trust this space, be vulnerable in the chat and put a yes. Like if you feel this pain or have some of these rules coming up around money and you know that you ended up here, you guys are already uncommon. You're uncommon because you're giving your most valuable resource, your energy, your time, your focus to us, to Patty and myself today to have a conversation with us about that's all we're doing. We're having a conversation, providing a framework, and we're asking you to be uncomfortable because, again, in that tension, in that pressure, what happens? It's where we get to shine. We get to become diamonds like this beautiful lady.
Right. But you have to start.
You have to
I mean,
start.
you really have to sit down with your wife first or with your husband first. And even if they are upset at you, if they're there, don't have time, and then you do it again next week, and then next week, until then next week, until it starts happening. That is the first step. Once you create the meeting where everybody is safe, then you can start talking about money, because we didn't sit down immediately and start tracking our dollars and knew about passive income. And, I didn't even want to understand about the policies in IBC at that time. But Jason, every week is like, I don't care. What do you feel about money? What do you think about money? How is your family been about money? And he just kept going and going and going until I start lowering my guard because of my rules of money. And then it start working. But you have to start, like IBC, like everything. You have to start.
And you'd be like Nike, just do it. And we're gonna talk about our or maybe your current money mindset. Like where are you today? And we're helping you in this moment, in this time together. We will help you release that overwhelm. Just let it go. Like just drop the bag, drop the pressure. And we're gonna help you shift through action to ownership. Because our reality is like we're all here together for the same thing. We have big dreams. You have big dreams. We all do. And you want more money to be experienced or be able to experience more of your life. You want more time, all right? Time freedom to actually enjoy being a human, not just trading time for money. And we all want the magic, whatever that looks like for you. Those moments that surprise you. Maybe it's gut wrenching laughter. They inspire you, or they simply bring everyone together in a place that feels special. Being able to go travel together and do something new. But somewhere along the line, the path to those dreams gets tangled. Because we've been working hard, right? You guys have been working hard, and the pressure of money keeps whispering, that's not enough. You want to say yes to all the adventures, but as the dad, as the leader, as the person driving the family forward, protecting, providing, and creating for the family, the family wants to go to Disney. And all I think is, oh my God, it costs so much to park, to new sports, to family trips. But instead you find yourself saying, no,
Right.
not now. Or, as soon as I say maybe, the kids, the boys, that's a no. Because it's not because you don't want them to have those things, because it feels like there's never enough time, never enough money, you're always looking at someone else and thinking, man, if we just wait a little bit longer, we'll be able to have all these things. And these are the things that really bring tension and fear and silence, because we live in the greatest country in the world, at the greatest time in the world, with the greatest technology that's ever existed.
Right.
Someone's going to have a $1 billion one person company at some point between AI agents and everything else that's going on in the world. It's going to happen. And so we're going to ask you a question here in a second. And we want the immediate answer. The answer that comes from your gut immediately, not the trained answer, because some of you have been here a while. You know this stuff forward and backwards, but I want you to be honest with yourself. Put it in the chat or write it in your notebook, right? Have a notebook in front of you and write down the first thing when I ask this question. Ready? We're going to scroll it on the screen for you now. What is the answer? Money is blank for you. Money is blank. Let's pop in the chat. What is money to you today? Discipline. I love that. The root of evil. Okay, there's something to explore there. Freedom. Something. What's up, Dex?
Hi, Dexter.
Victor, asset. I love it. Okay, so these are the freedom. What feeling do you have around money? Like, what's the feeling? Maybe that would be a better answer. Money is what to you? It's safe, it's healthy, it's scary,
Right.
it's lacking.
For me in Ecuador, money was like far away. It was because my parents got divorced, and then my mom had to always work for money. So for me, something seeing my mom working so many hours all the time for the three of us. So money was something that it was like painful that, oh my God, you
Mm,
have to work for money. My mom couldn't spend time with us because she had to create the money to give us the things that we wanted.
yes.
So money was kind of like over there. Like we never, I really don't know. I know she saved eventually, but she was living paycheck to paycheck. I understood, oh, we can afford this, we cannot afford this. So it was something like, uncomfortable. It was not something pleasant. It was like, oh my God, if you don't have money, you don't have fun. So, where is the money? Like, oh, it is so much, or you have to suffer
And
so
we know
much
you
for
want to have fun,
money.
right? We want to have fun.
So that was money for me. Like he was like over there, like, oh,
Yeah, money. So for Patty, money was over there. I saw in the chat we had
yeah,
anxiety, we had
too.
stress, I mean, we have a lot of different kind of answers
Yeah,
happening in the
yeah,
chat. Uncertainty,
I do.
and yes,
A
money
blessing.
is and can be all of those things. And this exercise is just really for you right now. Whatever the answer was, the first thing, not the brain, from the heart,
Right.
from the gut, right? The two centers. We got our thinking center and then our heart center.
Right.
Whatever came from here or the gut, and
Elusive
then wherever
scares.
wherever you felt it,
Wendy says elusive
scares.
scares.
Great answers.
What is elusive?
It means escaping you. It's
Yes,
like a rabbit.
that's
It's
a word.
fast.
Yes, elusive. Yeah, stressful without it. Yes.
Awesome answers. And
Yeah.
so how do we shift this, right? Like look at the group's answers, and you guys are all in that small percentage. Some of you are already banking, some of you have multiple policies. You've already taken back ownership and control. But the reality is that it's easier to go to scarcity. It's easier to go to worry, to fear, to, oh man, I'm never going to have enough. So how do we combat this? How do we make it safe? So let's go into this a little bit deeper and start talking about the journey. So that's how many Tuesdays. Remember, I asked you to guess how long it's been since we had our first conversation around money as a couple. And this is where we went eventually from overwhelm.
Mhm.
And it wasn't overnight, by the way, because when you have big dreams, when you want big things, nothing's going to happen overnight. That's why the first rule of infinite banking is think long term, not in days, not in weeks, not even in months, but we're talking about thinking in decades,
Right.
right? In centuries, like really long term, because that helps you slow down and be, what did you say on God's time earlier today? We were having the conversation with things happen, people get what they want in divine time,
Divine time.
in
Divine
divine
timing.
time,
Divine timing.
the divine timing. Nothing happens overnight, at least nothing good, right? The saying's like nothing good happens after midnight. I think it's like 9 o'clock when we start sliding the other way. And we know that because we just went to Hilton Head and we stayed up too late a couple times. And, it was fun, but we probably could have done without some of that fun. So, a friend once told me something, and that changed everything for Patty and I. And it wasn't a strategy, it wasn't even a spreadsheet. He just simply said to me when he heard my rules and my words, right? Our words make our world about money. He said, Sip, man, that sounds rough. Like he just acknowledged it sounds rough. Like I'm sorry you feel that way, because he's super abundant and super open about all these things and wrote a book that says money does grow on trees. And so what he told me was pick a time, pick a date, and start having a money meeting. And so that's 416 Tuesdays ago. That's what we did. And we've had so many conversations. Sometimes it goes really well, sometimes not as well, but it's always constantly evolving. And again, like Patty said earlier, it wasn't about the numbers, it was about honesty. It was about really saying how you actually felt and then asking questions like, um, how do you feel about where we're at financially?
Right.
Right? What are some of the things that you want to experience with money?
And your spouse may not answer at the beginning. Just so you know, when Jason would ask me, how do you see yourself in 10 years? I didn't know what to think because I've never thought of that before. He was the one that started the process. So I didn't know what to say when he would tell me, what experience do you want? I was only thinking, well, I want to go to the grocery store, get the food. And he, repeating and over, I start expanding. He's like, just say whatever you want to. Pretend there's no limits. Just say whatever you want to. And with patient, he kept giving me the space to meeting after meeting start saying a little bit more. He said, write it in a book. I don't have to see it if you don't want me to. Just keep it to yourself. You make me write it down.
Yeah.
And then the next week I would, he actually gave me a book that he was not going to see because he was going to respect my journey. And every time I would open and I would see what I wrote that last week, sometimes think about it. So you really have to be patient and let your spouse feel what they want to feel, because it's not easy for everybody to talk about money. Right?
No, and for the guys or for the other spouse that is maybe not, maybe a little bit ahead, maybe you're driving this, you're leading this.
Yes.
At times when you give that freedom and your spouse, like Patty would say, oh, I want to go to, and like tell me these big, awesome trips. I mean, they're still on our board for the future, right? Some of these places, but you might freak out, because these rules to you are new too, and creating that safe space when your spouse starts telling you things, you might think, oh my gosh, how am I going to deliver that? Right. And then that's where the patience comes in too. That's why the meetings are really so important, to have that shared communication. Right. We watched my friends get married, and this was the second marriage. And what changed from the first one to this one, and this relates exactly to what we're talking about, was the depth of their thinking, the faith of their belief, and the partnership that they wanted to create, versus just like it being like this hot, sizzling, fun emotion. It had a lot more depth because it had a shared direction.
And they were going to allow each other to be themselves. So when you sit down with your spouse, allow them to say whatever, even if they say, for women, sometimes diamonds or brands of clothes or brands of purses or a trip to Asia. Like, don't, like, remember that you're allowing your spouse to start talking about it. So if somehow you do something to block that, it's going to go back. So you have to just let it say whatever, because it doesn't mean it has to be tomorrow or next year. You are just allowing them to dream. And that's how the process starts with money, starting to say the things that you want to have, right? Because from that's when we start deciding, oh, okay, so we go back in our plan for in 5 years, in 3 years. And now we're back to with our IBC policies. Now we know that we can start planning. But that was once Jason allowed me to be comfortable, allow me the time that I wanted to understand, or when I didn't want to. That's very important for spouses to start talking about. That is the vulnerability that I can tell Jason, oh, I want the latest Chanel purse, which is probably $10,000. And he's like, oh, show me the purse. Right? Before he would have just
I would have died.
Depressed.
I would have died. No, Lee, everyone, I would have died in that moment, because I would have thought, oh my God, what's wrong with the one that's at, Marshall's?
Or a stress that you're gonna give it to me,
oh,
and
yeah,
then I'll get mad, and then I will.
all of it.
I'm not telling him anything anymore. But now,
So
if I
safe.
tell him something, right, he just asks me, "Oh, show me what it is." That's it. Because I wanted to show him. I didn't say buy me tomorrow, but I had the freedom to tell him now everything that I want. And as for men, he loves bicycles. Oh, he sends me pictures of the super bicycle for triathlons that he wants, or the new watch, or he also knows that he can send me because, okay, he's just sharing with me.
Yeah, it's just a safety. So, and you always start with questions, questions in space. So a couple of questions, you might want to write these down, are how do you feel about where we are at financially? Or maybe it's a simple question like before, how do you feel about money? Or what does financial peace look like to you?
That is the question he used to ask me. What do you feel about money? And I would be so mad. But he kept saying over and over and over. And then he would say, you have to love money. We love money. And I would think he's crazy. And he would yell in the living room, I love money and money loves me. And I would just think like, oh my God, like what is happening here? Then a friend told you there is a book that you have to pretend you're sleeping with money, remember? Like lay down with money.
Yeah,
What is it?
roll over with
Yeah,
money,
like
like
like actually
make love the money. I stopped there. I was like, that's getting a little too
you used to say those
yeah.
things to me, and I was like,
I
oh.
could just imagine everybody's hands touching the money and I'm rolling around in it. No,
But
just
basically, that's how you start loving money, right? You start feeling comfortable with money. Now I actually love money. That doesn't mean I, want to be like Scrooge or somebody, but I love money because money allows us to do a lot of things. So now I love money.
and and again, nothing happens overnight. And we realize something, Pat, you can hear in our conversation, there's a lot of old inherited rules. And actually, when you start becoming conscious, this is the definition of conscious, you start becoming conscious of a pattern. And when you observe it, because our mind is like running on a hamster wheel all the time, like my mind never stops. Just go, 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 go. What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And that's a behavior in our mind is not our self. And so when you become conscious, it's almost comical. It's like watching a movie because you start seeing your rules and they pop up and you're like, "Oh, that's curious. I remember why I feel like that." And so let's talk about the three P's to kind of guide you on our Tuesdays, right? We're going to go deeper, like we're going to keep peeling back the onion, as it were, as we go through this. But the three P's that we have were first the purpose, right? Having an aligned purpose, having
Yes.
an aligned vision, saying, "Hey, my love, me and more, where's our destination? Where do we want to be in 5 years?" And this is something we revisit all the time. Where do we want to be in 10 years? I want a place on the beach. You want a place
In the mountains.
in the mountains. And so maybe it's both. Maybe it's an and, right? But what's the purpose? Why are we going to not do some of the things we want to do that in that moment right now and wait? How do we align our purpose? The second P is our process. And the process is simple. The process is once you have a purpose, it gives you the values, the vision of defining what is going to be that next thing, right? Where are you going to go? Like you start measuring it, you start monitoring it. That's what the process is. The process is running your business, running your family.
Mhm.
And the third P is the payoff. Because when you go from having debt like we did, $3,300 a month leaving our family, to having thousands of dollars coming in monthly passively, sorry, I didn't mean to go in front of your face, but thousands of dollars coming in passively, it's a huge shift. But there's still the underlying rules because if you're not stopping to acknowledge the feelings and the rules and the purpose and the process and why you're doing it and reminding yourself constantly
Right.
and celebrating, right? And celebrating. And so those are this is the how you create the dream versus the reality we already talked about. This is how you go from the common path, that red reality, to the dream. You know, the dream is how much money do you want to have to experience life? How much time freedom do you want, right? All the freedoms. How many magic monies? More money in less time with more magic. How do you get to say yes to adventures as a dad? How do you have your kid ask for something ridiculous and you're like, yeah, cool, let's get that.
Right.
Because as a dad, when you do that once in a while, that starts giving you, and then everything's still okay after you say yes to something in the past you would have said no to. Like it's like going out and one thing that was told to me, and I don't think I've even shared this with you, is go have a meal somewhere and tip more than the bill. Not because the service was crazy good, but because you can.
Right.
And when you do, guess what? What happens? Nothing. Nothing other than that internal shift that no one else can give you because it's your journey. And so the reality that, most people is the pressure. Hey, no, can't do that. No, not right now. Not enough. Saying no to Disney trips, saying no to cruises, to memories. Everyone else is going on the cruise. Well, hey, we've got a purpose.
Right.
We've got a vision. We're going somewhere. Everyone else is saying yes in the moment. But then if you ask them, how are you paying for it?
With a credit card.
With a credit card. And then you end up in fear and scarcity and strife and fights and all the things. So, one one really important part before we peel back and show you the 5 steps to how we run our meetings is the safe space, right? Want to give you guys some ground rules. And this is again just what we've learned after 416, was it?
Yes.
416 meetings. We learned that the money meeting isn't really about money. It's about the safety, the vulnerability, and the freedom to say what you want.
Right.
Right? So a couple ground rules for us for success. Number one, no judgment. I know it's really tiny, but no judgment. And that means of any kind. And I'm guilty of it a lot. Just vulnerably, like I hear things at times, I'm like, don't they know how, those old rules come up? And that's why I said becoming conscious really is a game changer.
And have the meeting also before. Now, when you guys have been fighting an hour ago, now where there is something uncomfortable going on, because the meeting is not going to go good. It's always to have the meeting when when you and your spouse are open, not when there's a stress, because the experience is not going to be that good, or have it, but know that it's not going to be that good.
Yeah, or
We've
always
done
have
it
it though.
all.
Oh, yeah, always. I would say in that point, always have it. Always have it, because even in the worst meetings, the ones where the energy wasn't aligned, where the vision wasn't aligned, where we weren't in this heightened, abundant gain mentality, there's always something, a rule that comes up that we have to address.
Right, that's true.
Because we've been hiding it.
That's true.
Because we've been hiding it, looking just to get along, like they're going along to get along kind of mentality. Number two, no raised voices. Again, at times, strive for, we're going to say it in a second, but strive for imperfection. Because guess what? If you're adults and you have a opposing views on what's important, and you're married to someone from South America, you might have, I'm a Jersey guy, you might have some raised voices at times. You might have some passion, is what I'm getting at. That's why I said
Everybody's not the same too.
yes.
So men and women are different and people are different. So we always have to know that the other person may react in a way that you don't expect because money is uncomfortable to talk about.
Yes.
Always
And
remember that.
and the more that you can keep these guidelines, these ground rules in place, like no judgment, calm and loving, like open, the more your partner feels accepted, that they can say whatever they want to you without any judgment. You just say, that'd be really cool if we could do that. How could we do that? Right? Reframing the questions. Number three, no shame. There's no shaming someone saying, if I said, hey, I want to get this new triathlon bike, and Patty said, well, you haven't raced since 2018. What do you need a new bike for?
Right.
I just want it.
Right.
Right? There's no shame in wanting to dream about what you want to dream about. I've always wanted so you guys know, if you want to send me a new bike, I want the Beam bike, the Cervelo P3X, just so you know, just in case you're curious. So no shame, right? There are past mistakes, the things that we maybe say in the conversation in that space. It's a safe space. So there's no shaming each other. There's no making each other feel bad. So how do you do that? With curiosity, kindness, curiosity, and courage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the things that we pray for, I pray for those things for our son, for ourselves every single day. Kindness, curiosity, and courage. And this is how we have the vision question. So here, grab your camera if you can. If you're not driving, if you're driving, don't do this. You can always come back and watch the replay. But here's the question. Like when you sit down and think with your spouse and you say, hey, if everything went our way, and it can be in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, right? Like however far out you want to go into the future, if everything went our way, what would have to be true both personally and professionally for you to be excited about the progress that you've made as a couple? Right? The progress that we're proud of. And this is part of the celebration, the little things. And the more you celebrate, the more you wire that into your nervous system, even if it's doing something that you can do, but it still happens, you can give a little like, woohoo, let's go, little, yes, whatever it is, wire that feeling, because that is putting that, what you're doing is you're rewiring your nervous system to be abundant, to go towards and look for the abundant things in life.
Right.
Anything, thoughts on that?
No, I mean, you really said it, that like just celebrate, everything that you want.
Yes, the freedom, like Lee said, the freedom to be an awesome giver, the
Yeah.
freedom to be you, truly you, without any apologies, right? Just to be the best version of yourself. If you're new here, you know what to do. Smash that like button, ring the bell. It might just turn blue and alert you to all the new content. And like this, because as always, we want to spread this message as far and as wide, bringing money habits and banking back to the you and me level. Remember, our infinite banking bus is a big bleep bus, and we want everyone to have the same opportunity that you do in this moment. So subscribe, spread the message, ring the bell, be alerted to all the new content. So we're constantly bringing you the things that have worked in our life and helping you condense time and build a path and a vision you love. And so, once we had a vision, once we started having the conversations, we started talking about what's the difference between high value versus low value spending. And remember, you want to stick around because we're gonna give you the 5 steps here in a few minutes. But you want to have the high value spending versus low value. Because why? Because budgeting sucks. Dave and Susie, they've got their place. They've helped so many people. And I just feel like with all the help they're providing, they're simultaneously hurting. Because if you're burying your money in the yard, if you're scrimping and saving, if you get really tight, that feeling of being really tight, and I'm not to say go get everything you want, go buy everything. So that's not what I'm saying. But when you start saying what's valuable to us, because I'm going to talk about a $20,000 expense, 20 plus $1,000 expense that we invested in because it aligned with our values.
Right.
Even if it wasn't the best financial decision in that moment, because it didn't run through our bank, by the way. But, to tell you exactly what I'm talking about. So once you get a vision and you start distinguishing, and we're going to define high value versus low value. And what's really going to do it for you guys is what are your values? Collectively, individually, and as a family. So our high values, right? When we talked about family constitutions in the past, our high value spending will align with health and wellness, right? With our personal growth, investing in ourselves, investing in what we're curious about.
Right.
Our family experiences. We got to go to the wedding, but we brought the boys with us because we wanted to have an experience. And we have the flexibility with Connor and Diego to bring them.
Right.
To show them a new place, to do something different. And the long-term investments, right? Being patient, investing over time, so then you can have more of what you want in the future. You can give more. You can create more impact. You're just following the laws of wealth. You guys are following that. And so what does that look like in practicality? Well, real example. I mean, do you want to talk about a little example? Because this is more personal for you.
I mean, seeing the history of Alzheimer's in my family, for me, is important that I have to take care of my health because I don't want to have Alzheimer because, it's a very big, heavy burden, unfortunately, on the kids and the wife or the spouse. So we do martial arts for that purpose because I read that if you do martial arts, if you move your body, if you learn always something new, you're keeping your brain healthy to avoid Alzheimer's. And that's why we decided to, find something that will keep us committed and active until, like you say, we graduate.
Until we graduate.
And we go to heaven.
And by the way, I tried stopping martial arts a year ago because my hips don't love it, right? Like they're beat up, but that's a fear. It's like being afraid of money. Like I think, oh, because that hurts, I shouldn't do that. When in reality, it's the exact opposite. It's like, how can I do that to the best of my ability right now? Right. So I'm so grateful that my chief master said, no, that's not going to happen. We'll adjust your training. And that's why, for us, we made a lifetime commitment to this organization, to martial arts. But that commitment wasn't just to them saying, "Hey, this is a great partnership." It was about us.
Right. Right.
Connor was saying to me, I didn't even share this with you yet. Connor was sharing with me last night, saying, Dad, hey, if I'm a Victory Martial Arts for life and I get to practice for life, what happens when I have a family? And I'm like, well, you're for life, son. I'm sure they're going to have you pay for the family because that's a good partnership.
Right.
But at the same time, you're for life.
Right.
You're for life. You're a second degree now, third, fourth, mastership, as far as you want to go. And it's an investment in not only your community, but yourself, in your health, in your wellness, in your mind, your discipline, and celebrating.
Right.
A lot of the things we bring here are things that we learn in martial arts.
And this is something that we're committed together. So that was part of the money meetings. We started finding things that for us together benefit us. So it didn't seem like, oh, Jason is spending this much or Patty is spending this much. It's like, this is good for us as a family. But this came after all these money meetings that we had over and over, get to know each other. What are our dreams? What do we want? And we both realized that we want to have health forever. So that's how we all started.
And it's over time, right? Everything's over time. We start removing sugars, through a nutritionist. We start grounding.
Right.
And then you start looking, well, hey, this supplement or this thing, well, this is like $100 a month or whatever it is. And you start saying, well, what's low value? Going out 2 or 3 times a BurgerFi in a month because it tastes good, but it's not healthy. It's not that great of an experience.
Right.
And all of a sudden you start shifting over time. Remember, 416 Tuesdays, not one, not two, not 10, not 100. I was shocked when it was that many.
Right.
Like I actually checked it.
Right.
Because I thought it could not possibly be that many times we've had a money meeting.
Right.
And then, to emphasize, yours might not be martial arts. What is it for your family? Because every family's high value spending might look different. I know our friends, the Kings, right? Theirs are being world travelers, right? They've each been to 30 plus countries. They live in multiple countries. So theirs is traveling the world. And that's high value spending for them.
Right.
And so decide together, what does that look like for you? That's one of the fun things about the money meeting.
Yes, that is the truth.
Right. And now we're to the point where we're going to start sharing, right? How do you get alignment? How do you get your money to reflect your values? Again, money is a mirror. Money's a reflection of who you are. And there's a lot of miserable, wealthy people out there.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to be wealthy like Steve Jobs or Elon or anybody else to enjoy your life and have a purposeful and amazing life. But I'm not telling you not to want more, too.
I was gonna say, well, I can have the amount of money that they have.
Yeah, exactly. See, I felt that energy. See? Yeah, and then the 5-part framework for everyone. First, you saw it.
Dexter says it has to hurt before it heals, right? Yeah.
Yes.
That's the truth.
That's it. There is no growth without pain.
Mm-hmm.
There is no growth. Life is. I tell this to my buddy I ride with all the time, and I annoy Vishal. Like, if it's windy out, you know what I tell him, Dex? It's not windy. It's just God keeping us cool as he suffers. You get 100 miles into a ride with me, and I start chatting. I start getting happy because that pain that I had at the beginning is still there at the end, but I don't feel any worse.
Right.
Look, want to take a family on a private jet for experiences. I love that. So celebrate. When you start your meetings off, you want to start with gratitude. What's celebration look like to start a meeting? Like, what are you celebrating? We're starting with gratitude. We're starting with wins. Like, what have we done well?
Right.
What are we proud about? Like today, simple. We put money from, our account, that we've saved into a future account that's going to be used for long-term care or investments. Right now, investments in the future long-term care. But the money moved. We've been tracking it, waiting for it to move for how long?
A week and a half, 2 weeks?
Yeah, almost 2 weeks. And so in our money meeting yesterday, we called the place that's managing the money, and I have to give the okay for Patty to be me and have the conversation, my birthday, my social, and then they tell us, they're like, we'll be there tomorrow. We're like, again, right?
Yeah.
Like, is it really going to be there tomorrow? You guys know that feeling. Is it really going to be there? Are you serious? And so we checked today and it was there and you celebrated.
Yes.
Immediately start with a celebration. Start with gratitude. Start with wins because when you have gratitude, your body, your mind, your heart can't hold two emotions simultaneously.
Right. And if you went and you already spent on something, do not regret it. And especially not in front of your family. Sometimes we will have a lovely dinner with Jason here, and then he would say the bill and he would say something, oh, that was too much. And I would say, thank you for ruining the moment, baby.
Yeah.
So it's things that as a couple you have to learn. Like once you spend it, celebrate with your spouse because you want that's how you start creating to be comfortable around money. Celebrate all the time. Yeah, maybe it was not a good meal, maybe you should have ordered this on that, but celebrate, say, okay, you know what, it was a great time, we had a good time together, we had a nice conversation. So that's how you start shifting everything to positive, to love money. Even if you still make mistakes, still celebrate. Say, oh, we did something together. Because if not, everything is always going to be just a little tight, a little stressful. And that's what we don't want.
That's not what we want. So what's number two? We'll move this along a little bit.
Yes. Oh, yes.
You have to start, you start measuring, right? You start measuring what comes in, what goes out. It's a 7 or 6 law of wealth. Start tracking everything. And this is going to lead to our little story I'm going to share after the 5-part framework of a real life experience that reflected our money meetings and the lessons we've learned.
Right.
And then how we would have handled in the past and now how we handled it. Number 3 is tracking, where did the money go? This is really looking to see, is it high value or low value? That's what number 3 means. Is it high value or low value? Did we need to do that? Was that something that added an experience to us that aligned with our values, or was that something that we could have done without?
Right.
Right. Really understanding, did that make sense to spend that money?
Right.
Because you can give that money a job, right?
Mm-hmm.
4 is the plan. What's ahead in the next year, the next several years, even the next month? Like start looking ahead because this will help you be proactive versus reactive. So we're celebrating, we're measuring, we're tracking, and we're planning. We're making sure that we have a rhythm and a process and a system for the meeting. And finally, dream. Allow your spouse to dream. What do we want to do next? When is this a great time to do this, gentlemen? When maybe there's been some strife, maybe there's been some times where it's felt really stressful.
Mm-hmm.
Draw the person back in as a leader and show the vision.
Right.
Remember when you told me when we retired that you wanted to do mission trips?
Right.
Remember when you said you wanted to do this? Look how much closer we are to being able to do that when we're still young and healthy than if we would have stayed where we were then. Right? Really paint that picture.
Christian says that a month ago they went out and it was a little too much spending, but he
That's
still
awesome.
celebrated. Yeah, that's what you have to do.
That's what you have to do.
You cannot say, oh, because then you create negative energy against money and you don't want to do
And then your kids won't remember the meal. They won't remember the cost of it. They'll remember the energy, Christian. So that's an awesome. So again, perfect's never the plan. It's about the progress. It's about the celebration. Let's talk about a real life example that just happened. We went out the day before the wedding last week, and we went to Hilton Head, like we mentioned, and the discovery was a couple days ago, actually. It wasn't even in the moment. It was after we got back. So we went out, we had dinner with 2 other couples, our boys were there, and I looked at the bill and thought, wow, that's as much as our nice steakhouse dinner for our anniversary. But we were in the moment. I didn't have my glasses on, so I just signed it. I gave the tip, I signed it, said goodbye to everyone, went home. And in our money meeting, Patty was like, hey, do you have the receipt? And I was like, no, why? Because I looked at their menu and it wasn't an expensive place. And you got this, I got this, Connor, Diego, we had an appetizer. We didn't really, like, why does it cost so much? And the reality is that I didn't check it, right? I just did what was comfortable in the moment. I actually did kind of like Christian. I was thinking, oh, that was a lot of money, but I'm just going to sign it and not say anything. That's actually what happened. I just signed and didn't say anything. I didn't even say, oh, damn, like every meal out's going to be,
Right.
$150, $200.
Yeah, you don't say anything.
And the lesson was, it wasn't about the money. It was about the awareness. when she asked me, I didn't get upset. It was literally like, oh, well, yeah, I didn't have my glasses. Excuse. I could have checked it
Right.
closer, could have got the phone out.
Was the one of the seven laws of wealth is now I, Patty, I'm tracking our money every day. Before working, I open the credit card. We have only one for the points, and I look at the bank accounts and I see everything. Like I'm tracking, not because I want to budget, but because I want to make sure we're actually valuing and exchanging our lovely money for something that is giving us back something. That's how I see it. When it's on Amazon, okay, it was for this, it was for that. That's what we do now. And it's so awesome because we have so much more that are going to go back in our policies, and we're not cutting short of anything. We're just
No.
very aware and we're tracking. But this was a process. Don't forget, everybody, it took a long time for me to start doing that. So it was not like a magical overnight thing.
No, nothing is magical.
No.
Nothing is overnight. It is all putting yourself in that pressure
Yeah.
situation over and over again so you can grow. And then the compound effect. I mean, yes, it was 30 or $40. You might have said in your head, who cares?
Right.
Who cares? Do that 5 times. Do that 10 times. Do that 100 times over. And what happens? It's like compounding interest upon interest because now you're aware of what's coming in and
Yeah.
out. You know what's high value, low value. And maybe sometimes you are blowing a lot of money just because you can,
Right. Yeah.
because it's fun, because money can be just fun.
I know a couple, they are very rich, very, but like rich, like, I mean, super Tony Robbins rich. And every morning, the wife opens her laptop and she checks every single dollar. She doesn't need to. They have passive income, they own an airplane, they don't have to do anything. But she does that every morning. And she's filthy rich because what? She's tracking her money and she loves her money. So, regardless of how much money you have, love the money that you have.
Yeah, love it in a healthy way. Love it in a way where you respect. It's a
Right.
respect for money.
Right.
And so the result from that first meeting to now, it's given us, money, like I said earlier, is a mirror. Money it's not a monster anymore. It's not and by the way, if it is a monster for you, when's the best time to kill a monster? I don't want to kill any monsters, by the way, but get it when it's little.
Right.
Get it when you have a chance, especially for your kids. If your kids are watching and listening to you talk about money and have energy around money, stop. Stop that in front of them today because they're just going to take that energy with them forward. And if you're not talking to them about it, it's got to be a mirror that reflects beauty, love, values. Your intentional spending, not emotional, but purposeful and aligned for what
Yes.
you want to do.
Yes.
Right?
Dexter is correct in everything he says.
I love it. I love everything I'm seeing in the chat, guys. So thank you. And the family culture, the stewardship, it's not scarcity. It's really like we're seeing it by just talking about the 7 laws of wealth, by practicing infinite banking, talking
Yes.
about values, talking about standards, talking about discipline. Our boys might tell us how much they hate it pretty often,
Right.
but what do we hear coming out of both of their mouths recently?
They're practicing. I mean, they actually say things about their own bank or the 7 laws of wealth. I mean, they naturally are, it's part of their language now.
It's part of their language.
Their language.
And they pick it up that quickly. We're talking 2 years. Like
Right.
we've been doing the banking and practicing this for over 4.5, 5 years now. But just 2 years, we've been doing the family retreats, the family vision boards, the family values. So these things aren't just going to change your finances. They're going to change your family, folks. When you apply this, because it's not an if anymore, when you apply this, this will change your families. All right, let's bring this home. Let's land this plane. Today, you've learned how to bring structure to your money conversations with a 5-part rhythm. You're celebrating, you're measuring, you're tracking, you're planning, and most importantly, you are dreaming. And you saw how money becomes meaningful when it aligns with your values, not just your bills. When you bring things into alignment, into focus, you've learned when you and your spouse sit down together consistently with curiosity instead of criticism, everything starts to change. And remember, this isn't just about budgeting. It's not just about the dollars and the cents. It's about that first December meeting we had in 2022 where 2 people sat down and decided to stop letting money be a source of silence, stress, and killing connection and dreams. Instead, we made it a place, a space for safety, vision, and connection. One dream, one decision that turned into a rhythm. And that rhythm turned into a culture. And that culture has shaped our family in the most beautiful ways. Again, today we've showed you how to go from financial overwhelm to ownership through intentional, heart-centered money conversations. We broke down the structure of a weekly magic money meeting, or whatever you want to call yours, from the emotional ground rules to the practical review. And the payoff, when you implement the system, this rhythm, you build more than your budget. You build trust, vision, and peace in your home. So what do? Here's your challenge. Block the time. Pick a date. Pat. Give it a name. Make it safe. Make it consistent. And before you go, we want to hear from you. What's one word that describes your relationship with money at this time next year? Put in the chat below. Share it with your spouse. Write it on social media. Let someone else know, because why? Putting your intentions out in the world will draw that to you. That word will make your world, and it starts today. And if we haven't already connected and you're ready to take back control of your money, book that call today. Have confidence that you can do this. Pick the uncommon path. I'm going to see all of you in this next video, which will paint your vision to show you how you can make money meaningful today. You can start loving yourself more by changing just one thing. And by doing that, you're going to smash the subscribe button, ring the bell, and hit the like button to spread the message. Invite more people to this message. You might be, by sharing this message, the biggest blessing to someone that you might not even know that well. Go add value to someone else. Be courageous, be curious, be kind, and most importantly, be blessed. Without Him above, without our Creator, we are not much. So, love each and every one of you. Thank you for your time, your energy, your focus. I am not confused. You could have been anywhere, but you are here with me right now. So I'll see you in this next video. Make sure you help spread the message, and God bless.